Hi. Today, we're diving into a chilling yet fascinating topic: serial killers who might be your neighbor. The quiet neighbor, Dennis Rader. By day, Rader was an upstanding citizen, a devoted husband, a father, and even the president of his church council. Can you imagine discussing sermon topics with a guy who secretly stalked, tortured, and killed people? Talk about wearing a mask. It's like finding out your local librarian moonlights as a ninja assassin. Rader's mundane job as a compliance officer even had him nitpicking overgrown lawns and barking dogs, making him the neighborhood's least favorite person for completely different reasons than you'd expect. But beneath this banal exterior lurked a mind obsessed with domination and control. Over 17 years, Rader meticulously planned and executed 10 murders, all while managing to blend in perfectly with his community. His ability to compartmentalize his horrific crimes from his everyday life is a testament to the terrifying complexity of the human mind. Imagine the shock when the friendly guy next door, who helped you fix your lawnmower, turned out to be a sadistic serial killer. Rader's arrest in 2005 came after a cat-and-mouse game with police that lasted decades. His downfall? An insatiable ego. He just couldn't resist taunting the cops, which ultimately led to his capture when he sent a floppy disk traced back to his church. Rader's story is a grim reminder that monsters don't always hide in shadows. They might just be trimming their hedges next door. So next time you borrow a cup of sugar from your neighbor, maybe take a moment to wonder, what secrets do they keep? The Family Man, John Wayne Gacy. Gacy, known as the Killer Clown, seemed like the perfect family man, successful, community-minded, and even entertaining kids as Pogo the Clown at local events. But beneath the grease paint and jolly exterior lay a dark, twisted soul. Picture this. Gacy was a contractor, a politician, and an all-around well-liked guy. If you needed a hand fixing your roof or organizing a neighborhood watch, Gacy was your go-to guy. Little did his neighbors know, this friendly handyman was also constructing a horrific legacy beneath his home. Gacy's charm and community involvement masked his true nature, allowing him to lure unsuspecting young men into his clutches. Gacy's modus operandi was as chilling as it was cunning. He'd often offer his victims work, pretending to be their mentor, before revealing his sinister intentions. Once in his home, he'd perform his rope trick, a gruesome act that left 33 young men dead and buried in the crawl space beneath his house. Imagine finding out the guy who hosted the best BBQs on the block had such a macabre secret. So how did Gacy manage to maintain this double life? His charismatic persona played a big role. People simply couldn't reconcile the friendly neighbor and jovial clown with the horrific crimes he committed. This dissonance highlights a crucial point about human psychology. Our brains are wired to trust familiar, friendly faces, often overlooking the potential for evil. Gacy's arrest in 1978 sent shockwaves through his community and the nation. The gruesome discovery of his victims turned the friendly neighborhood clown into a symbol of hidden malevolence. His case teaches us a valuable, if unsettling, lesson. Sometimes the most terrifying monsters wear the most disarming masks. The charismatic Ted Bundy. Bundy's story is a chilling reminder that sometimes the most dangerous people are those who appear the most trustworthy. With his good looks, intelligence, and charm, Bundy could have been a movie star, or, a supervillain. Imagine you're in the 1970s, and a handsome law student offers to help you with your groceries. That's Ted Bundy, the kind of guy your mom would love you to bring home. Bundy used his charisma like a magician's wand, luring his victims into a false sense of security. He often pretended to be injured, hobbling around with a cast or crutches, asking for help. His disarming smile and polite demeanor were all part of his deadly act. Bundy's ability to mask his true nature speaks volumes about the complexity of the human psyche. He was involved in politics, even working on a suicide prevention hotline. Yes, the guy saving lives by day was taking them by night. Talk about a double life. Bundy's intelligence and charm made him a master manipulator, capable of earning trust effortlessly. This duplicitous nature highlights a key psychological concept: cognitive dissonance. People struggle to reconcile conflicting information, making it hard to see someone as both a helpful law student and a ruthless killer. His cunning extended to his escape from custody, twice. Bundy's first escape involved jumping from a courthouse library window. His second? A daring breakout through a hole he sawed in his cell's ceiling. His Houdini-like escapes only added to his terrifying mystique. Imagine hearing that the charming guy who flirted with you last week just escaped from jail. Yikes. Bundy's reign of terror spanned several states and resulted in the deaths of at least 30 young women. His trial became a media sensation, with Bundy acting as his own attorney, further showcasing his narcissistic confidence. He loved the spotlight, turning the courtroom into his stage. This need for attention and control is a hallmark of psychopathy, illustrating how deeply entwined his ego was with his murderous impulses. The nurse next door, Charles Cullen. Cullen was a nurse, a profession synonymous with care and compassion. Yet, behind his reassuring demeanor lurked a cold-blooded killer. Buckle up as we explore how a caregiver turned into a harbinger of death. Imagine being in a hospital, a place where you're supposed to feel safe, and your nurse, Charles Cullen, walks in. He's got a warm smile, a gentle touch, and a reassuring presence. Little would you know, Cullen was secretly dubbed the Angel of Death. Over his 16-year career, Cullen confessed to murdering at least 40 patients, though experts believe the real number could be in the hundreds. Talk about a bedside manner to die for, literally. Cullen's method was as chilling as it was calculated. He used his access to medications to administer lethal doses to unsuspecting patients. What makes his case particularly terrifying is how easily he moved from hospital to hospital, with each new employer unaware of his deadly track record. This revolving door of employment highlights a critical issue in the healthcare system: the lack of effective oversight and communication. It's like a bad game of medical hot potato with deadly consequences. Cullen's ability to continue his killing spree for so long was aided by his outward appearance and professional demeanor. Colleagues saw him as competent, albeit a bit odd. He was the guy who worked the night shift, a reliable presence in the dimly lit halls of hospitals. This duality, the caring nurse and the clandestine killer, exemplifies the psychological phenomenon of compartmentalization, where individuals separate different parts of their lives, hiding their darkest actions behind a mask of normalcy. Imagine the horror when Cullen was finally caught in 2003. The revelation that a trusted nurse had been systematically murdering patients shook the medical community and the public to its core. Cullen's case is a grim reminder of how blind trust in authority figures can be exploited. It underscores the need for vigilance and accountability in professions where lives are at stake. The trusted friend, Jeffrey Dahmer. Known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, Dahmer was the quiet, introverted guy next door, until his gruesome secrets came to light. Let's dive into this macabre story with a touch of humor and a dash of psychology. Imagine living in a modest apartment complex, and your shy neighbor, Jeffrey, invites you over for a drink. Seems harmless, right? Dahmer, with his unassuming demeanor, was the kind of guy you might lend sugar to or exchange polite nods with in the hallway. Yet behind those glasses and quiet smile was a man with a horrific hobby: murder and cannibalism. Dahmer's ability to blend in was a testament to his manipulative skills. His reserved nature made him seem harmless, just a bit of a loner. Neighbors had no clue that his apartment was a house of horrors, filled with dismembered bodies and sinister trophies. This disturbing duality highlights a key aspect of human psychology: the capacity for people to compartmentalize their lives, hiding their darkest urges behind a facade of normalcy. Dahmer's modus operandi was as gruesome as it was methodical. He would lure young men to his apartment with promises of money or companionship, only to drug, kill, and dismember them. The grisly details of his crimes are enough to make anyone lose their appetite. Pun intended. His obsession with control and domination over his victims points to deep psychological issues, including a lack of empathy and a desire for complete power. His eventual capture in 1991 was both shocking and oddly anticlimactic. When one of his intended victims managed to escape and flagged down police, they discovered Dahmer's ghastly collection. Imagine the cops' surprise when they found body parts in the fridge and evidence of unspeakable acts. It's the kind of discovery that would make anyone reconsider their neighborly trust. The serial entrepreneur, Israel Keyes. Picture this. Keyes ran a construction business, the kind of guy you'd trust to fix your roof and maybe even invite over for a barbecue. He had an all-American charm, making it hard to suspect that beneath that exterior was a cold, calculating killer. Keyes' story is a prime example of how ordinary appearances can mask extraordinary evil. Keyes didn't just kill, he perfected the art of it. He meticulously planned his murders, traveling across states to avoid detection and using kill kits he buried in various locations years in advance. Talk about planning ahead. This level of foresight and organization highlights a key aspect of psychopathy: the ability to detach from one's actions and treat murder like a business transaction. It's as if Keyes approached his crimes with the same methodical precision he used in his construction projects. What makes Keyes particularly terrifying is his randomness. Unlike many serial killers who have a specific type, Keyes chose his victims indiscriminately, which made him even harder to catch. His ability to blend into any setting and leave no pattern behind baffled law enforcement for years. It's like playing a game of hide and seek with an expert who wrote the rulebook. His eventual capture in 2012 came after he kidnapped and murdered a young barista, Samantha Koenig. Keyes made a critical mistake by using her debit card, leading to his arrest. Once in custody, he confessed to several other murders, revealing a chilling glimpse into his mind. His confessions were delivered with a cold detachment that left investigators and anyone hearing the story unnerved. The charming lady, Dorothea Puente. Dorothea Puente seemed like the perfect grandmotherly figure. She ran a boarding house, took in society's vulnerable, and was known for her generous nature. Who would suspect that behind those kind eyes lurked a cold-blooded killer? It's like finding out your favorite grandma is running a secret mafia operation. Puente's story is a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Puente's modus operandi was sinisterly simple. She took in tenants, particularly those who were elderly or mentally ill, and then slowly poisoned them. While they were unwittingly dying, she cashed their social security checks. Imagine trusting someone to care for you, only to realize they're more interested in your death benefits. This gruesome scheme highlights the dark side of human nature, where greed trumps compassion. Her ability to maintain her kind persona while committing such heinous acts is a testament to her manipulative skills. Neighbors saw her as a sweet old lady, always ready to lend a helping hand. Little did they know her backyard was becoming a makeshift cemetery. When authorities finally unearthed the truth, literally, they found 7 bodies buried on her property. Talk about skeletons in the closet, or in this case, the garden. Puente's arrest in 1988 shocked the community. The notion that a seemingly harmless elderly woman could carry out such calculated murders was almost too much to believe. The All-American Boy. Gary Ridgway was the All-American Boy, a steady job painting trucks, a regular churchgoer, and a family man. If you needed someone to help with your yard work or chat about the latest football game, Ridgway was your guy. But behind this unremarkable exterior lay a man responsible for the murders of at least 71 women. It's like finding out the guy who organizes your neighborhood block party is also the boogeyman. Ridgway's method was deceptively simple. He preyed on vulnerable women, particularly those involved in prostitution or runaways, using his charm to lure them into his truck. Once they were isolated, he would strangle them, often returning to the crime scenes to engage in disturbing rituals. His ability to maintain his facade of normalcy while committing such atrocities speaks to a deep psychological disconnect. His dual life went undetected for nearly 2 decades. Ridgway's success as a serial killer was partly due to his mundane appearance. He didn't stand out, which made it easy for him to blend in. This highlights a crucial point about human psychology. Our tendency to overlook the ordinary, assuming danger comes with a warning sign or a creepy look. Ridgway's eventual capture in 2001 came through advancements in DNA technology, proving that even the most careful killer can't escape forever. His arrest was a wake-up call to his community, who struggled to reconcile the helpful neighbor with the horrific Green River Killer. It's a stark reminder that sometimes evil is hiding in plain sight.
That's it. Thank you for your attention.